If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.
You can call off the Amber Alerts, call off the search parties. We are here. We still do exist. The show is still going to go on. Probably a little bit more on a damper of a note moving forward than anything. But hey, welcome in. We're glad everybody's here live for pregame Game 7 analysis of this Denver Nuggets Minnesota Timberwolves series. We'll talk about the other stuff probably tomorrow. We'll figure out how this game is going to go. We are going to have one more show tomorrow before Nico has to head off to Albany. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in this Sunday morning. Hopefully, we're feeling good. Nico, you want to let everybody know what I asked you when we started, and I knew what the answer was. Good. Yeah.
I'm good. I promise you, I'm good. I'm
totally good. I'm fine.
Good. I'm fine. I'm fine. My hand's not normally shaking this bad. I promise you, I'm fine. Everything's good. It's just Game 7 against probably the two teams that will probably go on to win a championship. And not a big deal. Two best teams in the NBA going against one another in Game 7, and we got our ass kicked in Game 6, and everything that's happened. So yep, I'm fine. I'm good. Everything's good. I'm good. I haven't thought about it all day. I haven't thought about it since Thursday. I know what the Avs happened. I know the Avs happened, but I still was thinking about Game 7. I haven't thought about it all week. Don't worry, it's not. That's totally normal. Totally normal. Totally normal to have this thought in my mind about this game for the last 5 days, 4 days, whatever it's been. Totally normal. Yep, totally normal.
All right. Well, we're going to be able to talk through this for your sake and for all the bench warmers' sakes who are a little bit curious as to how this game is going to go tonight. And I think if we're going to talk about Game 7, we should talk about Game 6, because leading into Game 6, there was a thought that the Timberwolves were going to respond. I don't know if that response was necessarily, if we thought the response was going to be what ended up happening. Let's talk about Game 6, Nico. It was in Minnesota. And this was the backs were against the wall, which is what we say. A wounded animal, a cornered animal is most dangerous. And the Timberwolves were definitely dangerous the other night.
Yes, they were very, very dangerous. And going to Game 6, a couple of the things of note were, well, what is Minnesota going to do? Defensive adjustments, right? They decided to do exactly what the Nuggets did in Game 5, which was double Anthony Edwards, get the ball out of his hands. And when they did that, they let wide open shots happen. And the Nuggets decided that Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. were going to be non-factors, and they were going to sit in the middle of the ocean with no sharks around them, and be able and have a basketball in their hands, and they still wouldn't be able to hit water. That's how poor of a shooting night it was. And you look, I'm not blaming the officials for this game at all. That game at all. I'm not sitting here and doing that. But if you look at who the officiating staff was, Mark Davis. Mark Davis is known for letting physical play happen. That just happens. That's just what he's known for. And Mark Davis obviously allowed much more contact and much more full court pressure. Jamal was in living hell, like he was in Game 1 and Game 2. It was almost identical experience. And when he was in living hell and he was not getting shots off and he had the injured shoulder, shit was just not falling. Was not falling, literally not falling. You started off 9-2, and then you ended up scoring 30 points at the half, and I was like, okay, I'm sorry, what are we doing? And like I said, it wasn't necessarily bad offense, it wasn't necessarily bad team play. It was just motherfuckers couldn't hit shots. I said this as the game was going on. You cannot shoot 33% from the field and go 4 for 21 from the half and expect to beat the Washington fucking Wizards during the regular season, let alone the Timberwolves in the playoffs. Plain and simple. That's just not going to happen. Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., you are paid for fucking one thing, and that's to hit big shots and make open shots when they're there. It was, like I said, it was horrendous. There was 9 points in the fourth quarter. Obviously, 9 points scored in the fourth quarter. I'm aware that the Big Five did not play in the fourth quarter, but 9 points is still ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And like I said, the top defense in the world, in the NBA in Minnesota, came to play. They absolutely came to play. And it is all the kudos in the world to how Minnesota came out and responded. We realized, and I knew this from the beginning of Game 5, when Mike Conley was ruled out for Game 5 and was back for Game 6, I knew that was like, this is going to be a massive difference. Because Mike Conley adds such another dimension to this team. I've continued to say it night in, night out. When he's on the floor, the Minnesota Timberwolves are a much, much better team. Losing Conley is worse than losing Gobert. I'm going to be completely honest with that.
A massive difference is one thing, but do you think that the Nuggets took the T-Wolves' response lightly? Obviously, they're professional athletes, and they've done this before. They knew that they were going to get a response. Was it more than what the Nuggets were anticipating, and that's why it got as out of hand as it did?
I think they realized the opportunity they had in Game 6, and I think that they realized they didn't have it very, very quickly. That's the thing. I think they realized they did not have it. Look, at points in that second, or maybe it was beginning of third quarter, where you couldn't cut the lead down to 20, I think at that point, the team was like, "Yep, let's go home. It's time. We get a chance in front of our home fans again. Let's go home. Let's do this again." I really do think that there was a tipping point very, very quickly in the second or third quarter that was just like, "Yep, this isn't our night." At some points, it's better to be like, "Yep, it's not." It simply is not, and to realize that quicker and realize, you know what, we got rest, right? Jamal Murray and Jokic, I don't know the final total minute tally. They only played 25 or 30 minutes as opposed to their 40 to 45 in the playoffs. So technically, it's a little bit more rest. It's a little bit more rest, and you get that opportunity to now come back to your home court and make a statement, plain and simple. Like I said, there's gamesmanship. There's gamesmanship in the playoffs. And I think Malone realized that shit too soon. And realized that very quickly in Game 6 that it was just not our night. It was just not our night. And he started throwing different he did not throw the kitchen sink in terms of adjustments at it. He let it go and just let's see, hey, let's just have the guys try to come back themselves. And they couldn't. And they could not. They literally could not. Like I said, the biggest head scratcher to me was how ineffective offensively Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray were, as compared to Jaden McDaniels, who had 21 points at the half. I'm not sure what he finished with. There's probably somewhere around there, but he had 21 points at the half, and I was like, all right, yeah, this is not going to happen. This is coming back. That's when I saw Jay McDaniels hitting open three after open three after open three, and Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. KCB had a couple open looks too that just hit nothing but fucking iron on the back. I was just like, yeah, this is not going to happen. It's time to change the channel and look forward to Game 7 because, like I said, it's all kudos to Minnesota. They came back and fought. And this Minnesota team is a much deeper team, is a much better team than they were last year, plain and simple. And they're as good as advertised. The worst part about it is like the inconsistency for the Nuggets. It's like, you know what, we think we can go on this run again, and then the last year we didn't have any of these just fucking blow it out losses. And we've had.
It would be nice if we could win without dominating everybody, so that we understand how actual championships are won.
Exactly,
because there's never. The Avalanche in 22 never struggled. The Nuggets last year never struggled. And, yeah, this is a lot different because we're on the brink. And we're again on the brink of having both teams get bounced in the second round back-to-back.
Yeah, back-to-back, yeah. And the adversity is, like I said, you got to think the adversity is something that a team can overcome, especially a team that's very molded the same way as they were last year. So it'll be very, very interesting to see. But I really do think that the Nuggets shipped in Game 6 much sooner than we thought. And I think that might have even started from the second quarter on. I really do think that. And like I said, it's unfortunate because, like I said, it's you would have liked to see a team respond a little bit better. And look, were you probably going to win that game? Probably not. It's a tough one to win on the road. Game 6, they have, like I said, neither team going into Game 5 or 6 won a home game this series. Right, so you knew it's very, very difficult to beat a team twice at home, let alone 3 times in a row at home. It's very, very difficult to do that. You saw that Game 5, you saw that Game 6. So, like I said, you were able to win Game 5, give you that safety blanket, and then you come into Game 6 and you just ran into a buzzsaw. And like I said, it's all kudos to what Minnesota did and the adjustments Chris Finch made and everything. But I cannot sit here and tell you that Jokic and Jamal and Michael Malone and company were like, yeah, that we had a chance to win this game after this, from the middle of the second quarter on. I think they felt it. They felt that the show's over. And like I said, in what he said, that's a good loss. It's a good loss. It's a wake up call. It's a slap in the face that you can get beat that badly at any point. You think your shit smells nice? It stinks still. It still stinks though. Your shit still stinks. And luckily there's some things that were brought to the attention that you were able to fix. Right? I was like, if that's an elimination game, it's a lot different. But it wasn't an elimination game. You have another chance to make up for everything that happened, and make those adjustments of how poorly you played, and come out and see what happens in Game 7. So it could be worse, but like I said, it was definitely a fuck, man. This is going to be a war. It's going to be a war. That's literally the only thought. I was like, God damn it, here we go again. This shit's going to happen again. Oh man.
I think the post we're gonna play the interview because I think his comments. Some people see it, and I know that the way that everybody in ESPN and the national world is going to spin it. Seeing this, I feel like I feel a lot more confident. And before we start playing it, okay, I guess we're giving him a fuel. I feel like he has enough fuel on his own.
We can pull up the Jamal Murray post game clip too, all you want. I'm just saying he was not talking to Anthony Edwards. He was talking to a reporter, like, if he was talking about himself or he was talking about Anthony Edwards. But go ahead.
I'll find that one afterwards. But this is Jokic's post game comments, and this is a version of leadership. And I think this is the way that we're starting to see this guy's game mature, because he could be the one that's freaking out, but he's trying to. Whether he's freaking out under his skin or not, his team will never know. That's the idea of stoic philosophy. This is something that I really enjoy, so I want to show everybody. This is Jokic's comments following Game 6 and the 40-point loss.
They beat our ass. They were better than us in every segment of the game, and we need to accept it. Take it, and just try to be better next time. When you lose by 45. It's not like something happens every day. So just accept it, I'm cool with it.
A, it is not something that happens every day, losing by that many points. B, at that point, it has happened. So if the Nuggets were to come out afterwards, I don't know what people are wanting from Nikola Jokic, because if he comes out afterwards and says, oh, well, this is, it's not that big of a deal. He basically is saying that. But if he says, this sort of thing happens, we'll get over it, it's not that big, we can move on from this. No, we don't need to move on from this. Let's sit in this feeling for a little bit. We have to feel this shit. Like, we have to feel the shame and disgrace of being absolutely embarrassed on home court, because there is nothing else. I mean, what was the emotion that you felt? You were at the game. What was the No, you weren't at the game, but what was the emotion as you were watching the game that you felt?
Being there at Game 5, the emotion was that this team is still one of the best teams in the world, plain simple. And then when you get to Game 6, it was like, you know what, this team is prepared to come home. That's look. It's unfortunate. Obviously, look, it would have been cool to steal that game. It's plain simple. It would have been cool to steal that game, because like I said, it's very, very difficult to beat a team 3 times at home in one series. Very rarely has it ever happened in the 7-game history in the NBA. Like, it is very, very rarely ever happens. And I just felt like I said, I felt like it brought an opening to the eye that, you know what, like, yeah, you want to go in and win that game, but you know what, we still have a great opportunity, right? The other series finished up last night, and Dallas has already moved on and ready to see the winner of this game. They didn't play around. Well, the Nuggets and Timberwolves both fucked around and found out. Now the 2 best teams left are going into Game 7, and like I said, it's a calm, cooling presence. And look, if Minnesota wants to add bulletin board material, go ahead. If they want to take things out of context, go ahead. Plain simple. Everyone does that during playoffs. I hate to tell you that everyone does that. Nuggets did that after going down 0-2. You don't think that the Nuggets did that after what happened in the Lakers series this year? So that's last year. It's everything led to this. And I cannot sit here and tell you if after going down 2-0 and losing 2 straight at home. If you told me at that time that we'd have Game 7 at home still, I'd be like, sign me up. Plain and simple. I'd be like, hell yeah, sign me up. How we got there obviously is a little disappointing, especially Game 6. But if you told me after losing the first 2 games of the series, the way we did, that we'd still have Game 7 at home, a chance to go on to the next round, I'd be like, sign me up. Plain and simple, sign me up. Because like I said, this after Game 2, everyone's calling this shit over. This shit was far from over. So this, like I said, you have a chance to come at home and see what happens. And look, this Jamal Murray thing, he was asking, are you talking about me? Or are you talking about Ant? He was look, like I said, if Anthony Edwards and Minnesota want to take it as bulletin board material, go ahead. It's fine. Go ahead. We've done the exact same thing. We've done the exact same thing as you. So it's not that big of a deal. But Jamal Murray needs, like I said, the level of Jamal Murray, it's either prime fucking Michael Jordan in the playoffs or it's fucking Jordan Clarkson. There's no in between. When he's good, he's damn good. When he's bad,
he's not good.
We're fucked. We're fucked.
If he's bad, when he's bad, he looks like me out there on the basketball court, and that ain't pretty. Shout out Darren and the Fat Boy Fadeaway Sports. I know they went on earlier this morning. All right, let's hear what Minnesota is claiming is Jamal Murray's audacious reaction to somebody suggesting Anthony Edwards shut him down.
How difficult did Anthony Edwards make it for you when he was checking you?
I mean, who? For me?
Ant.
For me?
Yeah, for you.
I mean, it was more about my elbow at that point. Every time, even some passes, my arm. But he was more offensive for him. It wasn't him guarding me. He was scoring on the other end, and scoring at a great rate. And then on top of that, Mike Conley, McDaniels had a great game. I think everybody on their team kind of just brought their game today, and we weren't able to defend them and keep them out of pain or get them up.
What's wrong with that? I mean, legitimately, tell me what's wrong with that, because that to me sounds like a guy, instead of heaping praise on one player, and yeah, I know Anthony Edwards has gone off in a couple games, he's telling everybody that this is a team. The Minnesota Timberwolves, if it was just Anthony Edwards, we would not be sitting getting ready for a game 7.
It was not Anthony Edwards, too. Let's not forget. Anthony Edwards started the game, but Jaden McDaniels still, majority of the game was on Jamal Murray, too. That's why the who came up. So, like I said, if you want to take that as
gladly take that. That's the weakest ass bulletin board material I've ever heard. Like, that's how bad Minnesota sports has been, that you can't win anything in the playoffs, no championships, nothing. You have to deal with the cold and the fact that my ex-girlfriend's family loves your friggin' team. You have to deal with all that shit, and that's the weakest ass bulletin board material that I've ever heard.
Hey, if they want to run with it, knock themselves out. Plain and simple. I'm just gonna say this: there's a lot more bulletin board material. Whether it be Anthony Edwards telling our fucking janitors in Ball Arena, "We'll see you Game 7," or being that cocky for all that. Look, like I said, everybody can talk when they're up. We were talking when we were up. They were talking when we were up. That's just what happens. Welcome to the NBA playoffs, where shit talk is a normal thing. But plain and simple, like I said, it's too good of teams and too good of a series to sit here and be like, yeah, they're disrespecting each other. Anthony Edwards knows how good this team is. Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray know how good Minnesota is. Plain and simple, there's zero disrespect on either side. And like I said, and be honest with you, we've had 5 or 6 blowouts through 6 games. Which means, in my opinion, is tonight is going to be the closest game of the series, which is going to be fucking shit.
It's going to be great for you.
Which is going to be fantastic for me. Just cannot fucking wait. But yeah,
I apologize to your neighbors in advance. I'm glad.
Oh no, I'll be there. I'll be there. It's not my neighbors.
Right, that's right.
My neighbors don't have to worry about that. So it's mostly my poor brother that will be sitting next to me, losing my mind.
Are you taking Brock? Is Brock now your emotional support fan?
Oh yeah, Brock. Well, obviously I leave and Brock leaves next week for grad school. So it's one of the last couple of things we get to do until we both leave. So yeah, and my dad and my older brother will get the conference finals and the finals if we get there. Obviously, we have a long way to go till then, but yeah, Brock. So Brock will be the one dealing with it.
Good luck to you, Brock. I wish you nothing but the best, and I hope everybody else does as well. Let's look quickly now. Not quickly, because we can take as much time as we need to. Game 7, and I have it. I'm going to put it up on the screen here. So the Nuggets are the favorite. Makes sense. They're at home. I feel like I agree with you. This is going to be a closer game. I don't think either team is going to blow past 100. That's the crazy thing about the NBA, is that everything is 115 to 120, unless you're the Oklahoma City Thunder. Nobody really scores 130 points in playoffs. I feel like this is going to be close, tight-knit, hard-fought down to the end. Good luck getting an open shot if you're anybody on the floor tonight. That goes from starters all the way down to the bench. And this one, the 4.5, it seems like that's – I don't know. because I know football lines. I don't really know basketball lines. What does 4.5 mean betting wise? I know that
4.5 means that the Nuggets will have a lead going in, a 4-point lead going into the final minute of the game, and that it won't be a 1-possession game. It'll be a 2-possession game in the fourth quarter, and that's literally it. And it's going to be free throws. I hate that line. I think it should be 2.5. I think it should be 3.5. I think that's because I think, like I said, I think it'll be a 1-possession game at the end. So I don't love that. Like I say, if you're a better like myself for another couple more days, you probably should hold off and let the game flow happen and see what happens until the line and go from there and bet on it. But a couple of the trends that I think are very, very interesting when you look at this series. Denver Nuggets are 3-1 as this core with this core in Game 7. The 4 times Game 7 happened. 2019 against San Antonio, 2018 against San Antonio Spurs, your first ever playoff run, truly your first ever playoff run with this core with Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, and you beat San Antonio on your home court in Game 7. That's the first one. The second one, 2019, or I think it was either 2019 or it was the same season where we played Portland, and obviously Portland goes on to that Western Conference Finals and plays Golden State and ends up losing. You lose that one on home court. So there's 2 Game 7s played there on home court, and then obviously the last 2. If you remember, I'll talk about the second one first. Second round bubble playoffs, Los Angeles Clippers, Game 7. You obviously put a stomping on the Los Angeles Clippers. Paul George hits the side of the backboard. That Game 7 happened, and now the fourth one. So there's 2 and 1. The fourth one, and probably the most important one, and one that 2 guys over there remember very, very vividly. It's Game 7, Denver versus Utah in that first round, where Torrey Craig misses the layup at the end of the game with a 2-point lead. Instead of running the clock out, he misses the layup. Mike Conley runs down the other end of the court, has a wide open 3 to send the Utah Jazz to the second round. Wide open 3. It rims out. Nuggets move on. Utah Jazz end their season in the bubble. And like I said, 2 guys on that team that know that game very, very, very well. Rudy Gobert and Mike Conley were both there for that bubble loss when that Mike Conley shot rimmed out and the Denver Nuggets moved on. 3-1 in Game 7s. This is now your third Game 7 at home. I remember specifically there was a quote. I believe it was Jokic after that Game 7 against Portland, losing at home. Where he just did not perform, and CJ McCollum just absolutely came out and cooked us. And he went into Mike Malone while the press conference happened. He was like, "That's never going to happen again. That'll never happen again. A Game 7 performance like that. That'll never happen again." And like I said, you have the best player in the world on your team, and you have to put that back on them. So 3-1 Game 7s in this core is crazy to think about. Obviously, the loss being to Portland, and then on the other side, Mike Conley's 0-4 in Game 7s. That's obviously this Minnesota Timberwolves team is very, very young, very, 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 very inexperienced in the playoffs. So it's a little bit different. But one person that has more experience than anyone on either side is Mike Conley and those Memphis Grizzlies teams for a long, long time. Obviously, then Utah, and then now with Minnesota, he has that playoff experience more than anybody. And 0-4 in Game 7s, you know that Minnesota wants to rally around him. You know they want to rally around him and get him finally his Game 7. But it's a different task playing on the road. And like I said, it's demons. If Minnesota wants to get those demons past, you have to beat the Denver Nuggets. Mike Conley wants to get to the NBA Finals / Western Conference Finals. You need to get past those demons of the biggest shot of your career, rimming in and out, and you losing that game and losing that series, then going home from Disney World way too soon, and then Denver Nuggets going on a Western Conference Finals run. So trends in this game, like I said, 3-1 for the Nuggets in Game 7 since Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray era, and 0-4 for Mike Conley in Game 7s. We'll see if the trend continues. See how things can adjust to it, but I expect a war. I really, really do. I expect a war.
It is deeper a little bit because the Minnesota fan base, like I said, all of their sports teams have not been able to do anything, win a championship. As somebody who has recently gone through, like one of my teams doing this, and it was behind the stellar play of one individual player. I am a little bit, I mean, you're talking me into being a little bit more anxious about tonight. I have found, so we'll go ahead and play. I don't know if it's the clip you're referencing specifically, but I did find this. This is from 2019 after it was 4 overtimes, by the way. And
No,
that was
the game 6 was 4 overtimes. We were up 3-2 in that series. Game 6, we go 4 overtimes, and then game 7, we lose on home court. It was just a deflating experience. I remember it specifically.
let's show this one because this is Jokic pre MVP. This is Jokic pre all of this national media. This is pre MVP. This is pre MVP Nikola Jokic, where he was still the quesarito or Gordita Crunch, cheesy Gordita Crunch.
Yeah, it was the case. This was his first play. It was his first All-Star game, first All NBA. This was the very, very beginning of the Jokic era.
So
the prime era. So
let's take a listen as to what he was saying following that big 4th overtime loss, where he logged 65 minutes in the game.
To be honest, in that moment, in that time, you don't even think how much minutes you're playing. You're just trying to win a game. After the game, of course. I mean, I think it's a lot, but I mean, I'm not gonna go out for the overtime. So I mean, we were fighting. We were so close a couple times. I missed the free throws. We had a couple turnovers. They made the big shots. I mean, it was one really good game.
So
To be honest,
I can still hear you. Yeah, there was that was after game 3. I mistake my game was wrong. Like I said, it's 5 years ago before COVID. I don't remember which game was which, but like I said, that game 7, I remember specifically because I remember just feeling defenseless and watching Gary Harris and Will Barton try to will this team offensively and just try to get this team back in the game, and it just did not happen. And then going into game 7, CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard just went nuclear. Absolute nuclear.
I think I found the Malone clip. Do you want me to?
I'm not after game 7. You might. I'm not. I don't remember what it looked like.
Does this seem like the right one?
Yeah.
All right. I'll get the sound going on it.
As far as Nikola, that's what I love. I hope after 14 playoff games, America, everybody around the world that watches the playoffs, really came to appreciate Nikola's game. Playoff debut, almost averaged a triple-double in 14 games and was playing close to 40 minutes a night. He's arguably the best big man in the NBA. And for him to be as emotional and as upset as he was speaks to his, just truly caring. And he knows that we ask a lot of him, and he's just upset because he didn't think he did enough for us to win the game tonight. And I love the fact that he's not afraid of the pressure to put this loss on him, even though we all know it's not on him. All right, we win together, we lose together. But I love Nikola's commitment to this group, and I love him as a kid. He's wonderful to coach, and I look forward to coaching him for many years moving forward.
This was pre-Swaggy Michael Malone. This was pre-MVP Nikola Jokic. This is the core. This is what I want. I'm trying to show you these things because I do care about you as a friend, and I do see that you're struggling because this is Game 7 for the team that you care about the most. If the Avalanche would have gotten to today, it would have been a mutual It
would have been.
You would have been shaking. I would have been shaking. It would have just been a total anxiety nightmare. But this is the reason why I have some faith. The reason why I don't necessarily have total doom and gloom is because since I've been a Nuggets fan, which has basically been from that press conference on, because we started our show almost a year to the day after that, this team has rallied, and this team now they have the right leaders in place. They have Michael Malone. They have Nikola Jokic. If you can rely on those two guys who have done a lot of learning and done a lot of things to push themselves, and now Mike Malone, I would consider – I don't know. What do you consider him? Top what? Because I don't want to speak out of turn. Top 5 NBA head coach, and you have the greatest player in the world playing basketball for you. Who, now that we're talking about Game 7, let's talk about the end of Game 6. Did not sit down for a minute of the fourth quarter.
A second.
It bothered him so much. Bothered him to the point, and it's a dumb little thing, but. He wanted to be up. Those were minutes that he should be playing. It's a closeout game. It's an elimination game. If things go the right way, those are minutes that he's on the floor closing this game out, and he wasn't able to do that. The team wasn't able to get them in a position to do that.
And I
So
think
he's
and I think the motivation, like I said, the motivation of Game 7, it's different. It's not just looking at the series. It's looking at history. It's looking at how a team can respond from losses. And obviously, this team responded better than anybody after the Game 2 shellacking, right? The Game 2 shellacking happens, and then you go into Minnesota and you give it right back to them. So I cannot state that this series is completely over. This is the series over, and then Minnesota is just going to shellac us again, because you look exactly what happened in Game 3 and how this team responded from 2 poor losses. And like I said, Game 6 was a poor loss. Plain and simple, it was a poor loss. You responded well in Game 3 after poor losses. Let's see how this team responds in Game 7 again. And why I talk about the history so much, and why I talked about this team's past and how because it molded this team. It's molded Jokic. It's molded Jamal into the playoff performer he is. Because when you have the heartbreak that you had in 2019 with losing on your home court. That's the other thing. Losing your home court Game 7. That heartbreak is feeling like no other, is all I'm going to say. Because even if Minnesota loses Game 7, you lost Game 7 on the road. That's something that you can build upon towards things. When you lose Game 7 as a home court team, that sticks with you. That this is never going to happen, because the other team is celebrating your locker room, and you can clean your locker out tonight. Plain simple. You can clean your locker out tonight and send your shit home, and you can have your stuff ready for the offseason. Jokic can get his flight ready for Soundboard. And I don't think this team is ready for that. Plain simple. I really do not think this team is ready for that. That's why the history of Game 7 comes so much into play and between these two teams. And like I said, Minnesota's throwing a lot of punches, and the Nuggets have responded back, throwing some haymakers right back. But today's game is going to be more than just X's and O's. It's going to be more than who stars having what. It's which team will not fucking give up. Which team makes the less mistakes. Which team will step up and make the right play when it's needed. And like I said, what I saw from Nikola Jokic Game 5, the best player in the world, I expect to see another performance like that. I want Jamal and I want MPJ to have a game. MPJ needs to have a game badly. Very, very badly. He's been very, very poor this series and was obviously very, very good.
Did he struggle last year in the second round too against Arizona or Phoenix, whatever?
Yes, he obviously had a much better first round against Minnesota than, for whatever reason. That's just the trend that's been going on, because after he gets scorching hot, everyone's like, oh, we can guard you one-on-one. Like, just throw one of our best defenders on him. Minnesota is easily doing that. So I would expect a better performance from those guys. And you hit your open shots. You gotta punish teams for doubling Jokic. You gotta punish teams for that. That's plain and simple. And what Minnesota did Game 6 said, everybody else beat us. Because most teams' game plan is like, make Jokic just score. You double team Jokic and get the ball out of his hands. You're forcing KCP, Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray, going to be Christian Brown, Justin Holiday and company to hit shots. If they're not hitting shots, the Nuggets are going nowhere. And Minnesota wins this game very, very easily, is all I'm going to say. Because, like I said, they're going to do the exact same thing. They're going to make Jamal's life a living hell, bringing the ball to the court. You need to play the ghost shield again tonight and give him some room bringing up the ball. But you need to make sure that you get those guys going early. And go from there, because the last thing you need, you want Jokic to carry you to obviously the next round. He's very, very willing and able to do that. But it's going to be a much different game than Game 5. It's going to rely on a lot more players. You're going to rely on Aaron Gordon too, as well as the 3 shooters out there to have step up and have a big game.
Mm-hmm. So, X Factor, choose your own adventure. So I want you to choose one X Factor. If we're sitting on the show tomorrow with hopefully Jordan joining us, because we got him on at the beginning of the series, I want to get him on at the end of the series. If he is ecstatic, who is the X Factor? Who are we talking about? This is the guy that the Nuggets couldn't overcome, and this is why we're sitting here after a second round exit.
I'm going to go back to what I just talked about. It's the Michael Porter Jr. versus Jaden McDaniels. Who's more effective? Jaden McDaniels, if you look at those Game 3 and 4 and then Game 5 as well, he was in foul trouble. Early, and he was hitting shots. Michael Porter Jr. wasn't in foul trouble, but he was just basically inconsistent, where he didn't close out games. It was Christian Brown closing out games for us in the fourth quarter of those games. I expect that matchup to be the deciding factor because if Jaden McDaniels can outscore Michael Porter Jr., make open shots, guard the opposition better than anybody, it's going to be a long day. Is all I'm going to say. Because I expect Jamal Murray to have a better performance. I expect Jokic and Ant to have their 30, 40-point games, whatever it may be, and just go off like they will. I want to see where that third tier comes from. Because I know Cat's going to do too, and I know Gobert will probably be still a really good defender. Where will that third? Who's the next person to stand up? Will it be Michael Porter Jr. tonight? Will it be Jaden McDaniels tonight? And I think that's where the X factor will come in tonight. Because if Jaden McDaniels scores another 21 points, we're having a somber show tomorrow night. It's going to be a somber show tonight too after the game. Like it is two teams lost in the matter of 3 days. Right, it's two teams lost in the matter of 3 days.
I got such a surprise in store for you tomorrow. You have no idea. So.
Either way, like I said, you that's the matchup that I'm just going to be staring at. I would love to see how AG versus Cat match up because I expect AG to have a better game too. But I think the biggest matchup will be FPJ versus Jaden McDaniels, and who's going to be a more offensive presence. And like I said, Michael Porter Jr. is not a defensive guy. Plain simple. But one thing he is very, very good at and has improved a lot is his rebounding. The team that has out-rebounded the other team, I saw a statistic. It was either during the Mavericks game yesterday or it was some other game in the East. I believe it's 35-5, or the team that out-rebounds the other team. It's a crazy statistic. It's a crazy statistic. The team that out-rebounds nearly wins every single game they played. So if Michael Porter Jr. can grab the boards, force tough shots, get some buckets in hit some open shots, this team will be right back in the Western Conference Finals for the second year in a row.
No, I think that it'll be you're very efficient in the way that you answered that because you answered both sides. Rebounding does matter. I was trying to quickly find that stat that you were talking about, but to me it makes sense because that was the one thing that I brought to the basketball court is I was the physical presence that you sat underneath the basket, and if you wanted the ball back, I could go up and get the ball. That's about all I had. Looking ahead, injury report, game starts tonight at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on TNT. So is it official that we're at the last stages of this TNT show on NBA show on TNT?
The conference finals will be the final ones, and
okay.
the East gets TNT, and ESPN gets the West.
Who has the finals this year? Is it ESPN?
ESPN.
They can't. ESPN gets the NHL and NBA finals this year. Jesus.
Well, yeah, TNT is losing shit very quickly, unfortunately.
That sucks because they have the better shows. But
I love Mike Breen and I love what JJ Redick has done, and I think that
JJ Redick's going to be the coach of the Lakers.
And I hope Tim Legler is on the call for ESPN going forward because I think he's very, very smart and very, 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 very good at what he does. But obviously, the TNT broadcast for NHL specifically is just so night and day better than ESPN. ESPN is learning still how to. Second year of their NHL deal, and they're still figuring out how to follow the damn puck on the ice, as opposed to obviously the basketball side of things. ESPN has been very, very good at it in the past. I still hate some of the announcers. I think
Reggie Miller.
Reggie Miller is on TNT. He's
okay. So Reggie Miller does suck, but I guess that's not ESPN.
ESPN. I'm not sure who's on the call tonight, but. I'm gonna be careful with my words here, but let's just say there's a couple of them on ESPN that luckily I'm happy I'm at the game. I don't have to worry about it because there's a couple of them that are just like, come on, just you're pushing it. You're pushing it. And I guarantee you Mike Breen is probably in New York. So it's probably gonna be Mark Jones. Because Game 7 in New York is also happening for the Pacers and Knicks before this, so it's probably going to be Mark Jones, probably some fucking B-list tier person. Who knows? We'll see.
I'm grabbing it. I'm trying to figure it out with the TNT website.
But yeah, with these two Game 7s, man, New York game could go either way, but this game it's two teams that are on war paths to go on a run.
I won't be able to, I'm not able to find the broadcasters. I can just find the fact that Shaq is still on the pregame show. That's literally the only thing that pulled up. So Google is not the end-all, be-all for those kids that I have in my class. By the way, I end school on Thursday. I'm so fucking excited.
Almost there, right? Almost there.
Oh my god! But all those kids that say, "Oh, I just can use TikTok or Google or Chat GPT to find all the answers," yeah, bullshit. Because I just tried to do it in 30 seconds and it wasn't correct. Nico, I know that you're not. I want everybody. If you know Nico today and you're listening, if you have his number, reach out because he's going through it.
Any Nuggets fan because
Any Nuggets fan, and by the way, Nuggets fans, you can reach out at FEOTV Pod. Let's
7
work
hours.
together to get through this because we have a long time. We still have to wait.
God.
How many NBA 2K games are you going to be playing, or do you do something in
I
opposite
don't
entirely?
know.
What
I don't
are you
know.
going to be doing to make sure that you can keep yourself? Because again, show the hand. That's my favorite scene. I don't know if you've seen Blazing Saddles. It's like I'm the Waco Kid. It's like, yeah, look at my hand. Oh, it's steady as a rock. Yeah, but I shoot with this hand. I shoot with this one.
I'll probably play a little 2K today. Play a little My Park with my player.
Do you play the game out before? Are you one of those guys
No,
that plays
no,
the game
no,
out
no,
before?
I'm not. I don't like to jinx anything because I like playing on good difficulty, and I don't like beating the shit out of teams. So I like playing on tough difficulties. I'm not going to go that far, but yeah, it's we have 7 hours, and it feels like fucking forever. And,
Don't ask me how many times I've beaten the Dallas Stars. Don't ask me that. You don't need to ask me that.
I'm sure it's been quite a bit.
It's all the time, and not just with the Avalanche. In my career, I play all the Stars games now. So Ryan, I love you for coming on our show, and we'll talk hockey tomorrow after we get to. We're going to see. It's either going to be a playoff wrap-up for the live show before we send Nico off to training camp.
Or we take a break, too, because let's not forget, after the playoffs, we're taking a break. So it could be our break. So this could be the final day for a couple weeks before we take a breather, is all I'm going to say.
There's a lot of possibilities, a lot of variabilities up in the air. But I think for now, we all just got to have positive mindsets. I do want to give a shout-out
PVO, I promise you, if you have a significant other that's a Nuggets fan, I do not have a significant other right now, but some people do. They're Nuggets fans. I don't know how you're dealing with this, but I'm telling you right now, he's not thinking about other women. He's thinking about the game tonight. I promise you that. He is not thinking. He is sat in his bed and sat staring at the TV. I promise you, thinking about the game, not thinking about anyone else. Just thinking about motherfucker. This is the game. Here we go.
I did it. So on Twitter, you can't add music, but on Instagram and Twitter, I added. I don't know if you know it, but that. Oh God, now Juice WRLD song. I got PTSD. Like that. That was the song that I added to the post. I want to give a big shout out, Aaron Blue Shirts. He seems to think that we're giving Anthony Edwards fuel. Fat Boy Fadeaway, we love you, Darren and Tyler. I will be on later tonight after the Nuggets, or probably during the fourth quarter, so I'll have that on while I'm doing the NFL show. But Talking to Gridiron will be live tonight, so I want to give a shout out to them. Variety Sports Network. Jordan, Darren, and I are coming back tonight to talk. We just want to get together and talk, honestly. There's not that much NFL news to talk about.
And if those boys want to stick around for post-game game show, we'd love to have them too.
I will throw that idea out there, and that will be more than fine because I know that those two – because if – depending on how things go, Jordan and you can commiserate because the Cavs did lose to the Celtics, and he is part of Ohio Sports Talk. And Darren loves basketball, so I'm sure that I can convince them to figure something out. But that'll be – all coming up later on tonight. Be sure to follow at FEOTV Pod. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow at Variety Sports. Nico, what do you got for the people?
It's the best 2 words in sports. That's what you gotta remember. It's the best 2 words in sports. Game 7. Nothing top Game 7. Plain and simple. You are going to see 2 of the best teams, in my opinion, the 2 best teams in the NBA square off tonight at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And one winner will end in misery. And one team, I think, will go on to win another championship or win a championship if it is Minnesota. I'm very, very confident because like Dallas, I don't trust. Boston hasn't been tested at all. Not tested at all. New York and Indiana are going to kick the shit out of each other tonight. It's going to be slim pickings for Boston. I think the winner of tonight's game will be crowned the NBA champions, become June 15th at the latest. Will be crowned by June 15th. They'll be the NBA champions. I am very, very confident in that. Like I said, best 2 games of sports. I probably would have it another way. I can't say I wouldn't have it any other way. I probably would have it another other way, so I wouldn't have to deal with this. But like I said, it's fun. It's exciting times, and I'm gonna be shaking in my boots until the game time ends, until the final buzzer ends. But that's why we love basketball, and that's why we love sports. And like I said, it doesn't get much better than this.
All right. We appreciate everybody. Be sure to tune in later tonight, post-game analysis, whatever happens. And then we'll also have tomorrow night before Nico heads off to training camp. Be sure to check out Talking the Gridiron. If you're looking for something other than basketball, we will have that here on the Variety Sports Network. But if you're a Nuggets fan, T-Wolves fan, basketball fan in general, check out the game so that when you're watching our post-game show tonight, you know exactly what happened. But for myself, Jimmy Pilato, my Nuggets brethren in arms, good luck. Only positive vibes. Nico Bryant,
PVO, positive vibes only.
keep those positive vibes going. We will see you guys later tonight following Game 7.
Peace.
If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.